Hi guys, and welcome back to the Players Own YouTube channel. Keep pumping out these ranking videos whilst the Premier League is still not quite in the season yet. So during this offseason, we have some fun here with some ranking videos. And I thought, I guess the Premier League in recent years has been very busy for manager movement. So I thought I'd start off here in the offseason where there's no manager being moved, with the ranking managers from 20 to 1. A few I know a lot about, a few I don't know as many about, but as the season comes on, we'll probably revisit this video when to tweak it a little bit, maybe on the show with the boys on the Away Day show there. But let's get right into it. We'll start with number 20. For me, it's going to be Rob Edwards for Luton. Don't know much about the style of play he likes to play. I definitely know the long ball strategies that worked well in the Championship playoffs, which I watched a fair bit of Luton in. I've not seen much of them throughout the Championship season. It's hard to really tell how they're going to deal and cope with the Premier League. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of defending deep with a double block there and then trying to hit the counter with some long balls there. But it worked in the Championship playoff final where they got past Coventry in that game. So props to Rob Edwards there. And until I understand and sort of pick apart his game at the moment, for me, he just sits in 20th spot. Now we come to the 19th position, and once again, it's a similar sort of story. It's Paul Heckingbottom for me, Sheffield United manager. Again, didn't see much of Sheffield last season. I know they had some big changes there after Chris Wilder left and they got relegated a few years back, but they've come back strong. They've bounced back really well after a quiet season previously in the Championship, and have produced a good run to finish in automatic qualification spots there. Once again, not really aware of his type of style of game. I know it is a big challenge stepping up from the Championship to the Premier League, and tactics and styles need to have to be manipulated and the like. And because we haven't seen him manage a Premier League side yet, it's hard to tell where he'll be on this list. So just due to that unknown factor, he's sitting in 18th position for me. Now coming into position 18 in this list, again a bit more unknown of a manager, Andoni Iraola, who's coming to take over Bournemouth after I guess they mutually agreed to move away from Gary O'Neill. Big shoes to fill, I think, in a way, because I've been really big on Gary O'Neill and the job he did at Bournemouth in that second half of the season to keep them up and play some really nice football at times. I know he's come with a lot of experience and manipulating and doing well in the Italian leagues there and playing, I guess, a different style of football where defence does come first. So it's second season syndrome in a way for Bournemouth this year. They want to try and stay up and not prevent that up and down sort of method that many teams like the Fulhams have done in the past. It's a bold statement. It's a statement of aggression, I guess. Iraola's he's got some history. He's got a past, and he's a strong and commanding manager. So I guess I haven't seen his teams play, and as such, I can't put him any higher than 18th. But I'm looking forward to see the way the Bournemouth line up and how different they'll be to the way Gary O'Neill had them playing towards the back half of last season, because they were very exciting to watch at times and were on the front foot more than they were on the back foot there. But I'm sure Iraola will get the best of them. It's a statement type move for them, and he'll definitely be high up the list. It depends the way the Bournemouth start the season for me. But for right now, he's sitting in the 18th position. Now moving into 17th in this list. This may shock a lot of people. Actually, I sort of shocked myself for this. I've got David Moyes in 17th. Obviously, he won a trophy, the UEFA Conference League with West Ham, a great run there. And done well keeping them up at the earlier time where he was brought across to West Ham. When it looked really dire there for a bit, he kept them up as well. So in two different stints, he's done very well with the club. But you've got to be saying his job was on the line. The latter half of last season there, they were fighting relegation where this team really shouldn't be. The likes of Paqueta, Scamacca being signed, Lanzini, and Mikel Antonio. There's some serious players in that team. Fabianski in goals, got a bit of veteran experience. Kurt Zouma, there's some high-quality Premier League players in that team, and I was surprised to see them in the position. Obviously, losing Declan Rice now, how are they going to use that money? Are they using it well? But for me, David Moyes, obviously his Everton time was fabulous, but at the moment, I just have him in 17th place because the league right now is full of high-quality managers that are at a really, really high standard, and I think I almost surprised myself with that selection, but the way the rest lines up, it's hard to put him ahead of some of the managers they've got here ahead of him. But unfortunately, David Moyes does fall into the 17th position. Now we come to 16th place. I'm going with Vincent Kompany. Now this was where I was tossing and turning between, I guess, David Moyes, who's a really experienced manager and has won some trophies and has had a great spell at Everton, but I ended up going with Vincent Kompany because the football he plays is so attractive to see. He did very well at Anderlecht, Burnley dominated the championship last season. I watched a fair bit of Burnley. There was, they were broadcast quite a bit here in Australia, and I got the chance to watch a lot of their games. I like the way of football they play. They're aggressive down the flanks. They use those fast and wide wingers, keeping possession of the ball. I'm hoping to see a bit more of that this year in the Premier League, rather than reverting back to sort of that sitting in deep, that double block, the deep line there. But again, another one of Pep's disciples, we can call it. He's learnt the way that Pep likes to play football. He played under him for a few years there at Manchester City, and he's taken that in his coaching, and he looks like a manager that commands the dressing room and plays some really, really attractive football. So I'm excited to see how he goes this season. Have him at 16th at the moment in time, just because of what he did there in Anderlecht and what is doing and had done at Burnley. And it was a really impressive turnaround for them last season. We're excited to see them in the Premier League once again and see if they can adapt their style of football, which dominated the championship and ran right last season, and if that can sort of land nice in the Premier League and can keep them well and surely up. But as such, Vincent Kompany is in 16th for me. Now coming to 15th spot, I've got Roy Hodgson, an older manager. We don't know exactly if he will be there for Crystal Palace come the new season, but rumours has it that he will be filling that role in. A great end to the last season for Crystal Palace. Goals galore from everywhere. He really looked like he came with a little bit less stress. He didn't go back to the traditional just defensive lines and defend first and attack second, because this Crystal Palace team has some star quality. Elise, Eze, Zaha, if he does stay, there's some really expressive players down the front half of the ground, and I think he just used that to their benefit. Obviously, he had a lesser amount of fixtures towards the back end last season, but made the most of them and kept Crystal Palace well and truly away from the drop zone. Obviously, you have to take into account his history, managing England, and managing for many years now. Roy Hodgson's an older manager, but he's seen there and done it. He's taken on hard jobs. He's got teams safe. Is he a manager, I guess, for a full season? We'll have to find out. Can he do a job this year for Crystal Palace? But I think just his resume speaks. He's a historic manager that's done at things and saved teams when they need to be saved. And as such, I have to have him at 15th just because of the CV that comes along with Roy Hodgson. In the 14th position, the Aussie man himself, th-Ange Postecoglu. Again, it might surprise a few. I've got him so high, but the work he did with Celtic, and once again, get a lot of Celtic coverage here in Australia, and I've watched him play under Ange. High quality football. It's that modern style of football with the inverted fullbacks. The wingers stay high and wide. It's an attacking brand of football. I've also seen it with the Australian national team, a national team that is normally very defensive in tournaments and normally likes to spring teams on the counter-attack, but he won an Asian Cup for Australia with playing, expansive football, football at high pace. It's really, really, I guess, attractive on the eye, and Tottenham fans, I guess, will enjoy going back to that sort of style which Mauricio Pochettino brought across a few years ago with the high and wide wingers, pace all over the field, and Postecoglu brings that attacking mindset, and I think Spurs fans will be very happy for that. The massive success in Scotland for Celtic with 2 titles there and 2 cups as well. His Asian Cup success is a J-League title as well. He's won trophies wherever he's gone. He's a trophy winner, and hopefully he can bring that to Spurs. I think Spurs fans would take any trophy at the moment, but he brings that, I guess, confidence and that winning mentality, which is needed that dressing room at the moment. And through his attacking style of football, I think people would be happily surprised, and hopefully he can show the wider world that football in Australia is still at a higher level, and he's got a footballing brain, and hopefully he can bring that this year. I have him in 14th, ahead of some, I guess, older, more experienced managers, but his CV and his winning he's done so far, and his, I guess, shorter managerial career, it just cannot be unnoticed. Now in 13th place is Sean Dyche, a man who knows a lot about the Premier League. Obviously the Burnley style play, we used to sit with 2 banks of 4, the 4-4-2. He's taken some big scalps, I think, of Chelsea away as a key one that stands out to me, but he's always being able to keep teams up, and unfortunately his Burnley team went down a few years ago, but he got the Everton job last year and made the most of that, and we're keeping them up also. Obviously his experience in the Premier League talks for itself. It's a old school style of play, but it works, right? And we've seen that it's worked most times in the Premier League. Is the league going away from that? We'll have to say as a full season with Everton will hopefully show us that. I think Everton is still in a lot of trouble, but with Sean Dyche behind them, anything is possible. He structures teams well. He makes them work hard. They're efficient teams. They work for each other. They work on those banks of 4. They do a really, really good job. And I think as a manager, you can't really go past him because you know what you get. It's on the title. it's what's shown on the cover. But he always delivers. He delivers on that, and he normally keeps teams safe. And as such, I just have to put him at 13th. Obviously, he's I guess pushing up with some of the better managers of world football, because the way he treats the Premier League and is so good in the Premier League, and as such for me, he sits in 13th. Now coming to the 12th spot, I've got Marco Silva, the manager of Fulham. A superb year last year. Their football was of a high quality brand. It was exciting to watch at times, and they made the most of the learning they had in the Championship, winning manager of the year in the Championship the year before. They brought that same sort of style of football. They weren't afraid. They weren't overly defensive. I think that's the key now for, and it's the eye-opening for new teams that come up from the Championship. Do not be the old school, that just team that sits back, sits deep, and allows pressure to come onto them. They were on the front foot. They got high and wide with wings like Willian was a great pickup. He got the best out of Andreas Pereira. Players you don't think that had much of a future in the Premier League at a high level. We got the best of these players, and I really liked the job he did at it was Hull City, back in the day there as well, producing sort of high quality football, and he's brought that to Fulham, and last season it showed. They finished the year really, really well. A stable sort of mid-table finish would be taken by any Fulham fan at the start of the year due to their up and down nature they've had in recent years, going up and then getting relegated the next season. But I think his tactics can stand up. If he develops a sort of deeper squad with some more high quality players, you can start playing a bit more possession-based football. But the way they played last year, it's all props has got to be to Marco Silva. He got deep in a couple also. And I like him. I like him a lot as a manager and the football he plays, and as such, I've got him in the 12th position. And next 11th spot is Jürgen Lopetegui, who did great wonders, I guess, with Wolves last year. A team that was looking like it was going to go down towards the start of the season. A lack of signings has been a problem at Wolves, and looks like it's going to be the same problem again this off-season. Losing Ruben Neves to Saudi Arabia, and looking that they're not being able to pick many big name players up to keep up with some other Premier League teams. So I guess the arrival last year was really, really important, the way he saved them. Obviously, he's a Europa League winner. Also, he brings that Spanish talent and that Spanish type of football, which is really expressive. It's intricate passing against those 1-2, the 4-3-3 type formation with the high and wide wingers. Obviously, he likes to play, and I think if you can get the most out of this Wolves team this year again and keep him up, hopefully they can get a bit more financial backing in the future and allow the team to spend a bit more. But as a manager, I just love the way he controls the team. He saved Wolves last year, to put it bluntly. They were not looking good at all. The goals were not coming, but he found a way to manufacture wins from a team that was really, really struggling at the start of the season last year. Obviously, his resume at Europa League winning medal shouldn't be taken for granted. Did very well there, working at Sevilla. He's been a Real Madrid manager in the past. Well, obviously didn't go as well there. The pressure, I guess, it was a high level there. And also being part of many Spanish junior national teams and the Spanish national team job itself. So his resume speaks. Hope he can get some success here at Wolves, and I think he'll try and propel his career on to somewhere bigger and better in the future. But for me, just that history and that high quality of football he plays, he's got to be in 11th spot for me. The manager sitting in 10th spot for me is going to be Eddie Howe. A remarkable season last year with Newcastle, again, and I guess the previous season as well, playing some really high quality football. He's someone, though, that I'm thinking the pressure to be on really early in this season. Despite what everyone says, a lot of pressure on him that the team now expects to do well. Can he withstand to that pressure? I guess we'll have to see. In the first years there with Bournemouth, a remarkable job keeping them up. I get a different style now. I guess he's promoting that attacking style of football. They've got some high quality players all over the pitch. Alexander Isak, Kieran Trippier, Pope in net. Bruno Gomes in the midfield there as well. So there's high quality players on the pitch, and he's making the most of them so far. But a great manager is able to deal with these egos, these high quality players, as they'll probably continue to get more high quality players, more renowned players in. Can he do it? I'd love to see him if he could. I just don't think he's just quite got that resume up there with the top managers, and I'm worried for his job towards the end of the season, maybe in the future where expectations will continue to rise, to push deep for cup competitions, to maintain Champions League position, because Newcastle now are looking like a team that is going to be bold and going to be out there to try and achieve the best as quickly as possible, and they've gone about it the right way so far. But will Eddie Howe be about their plans in the future? I do not know, but props to him. A great stint early on in Bournemouth where he made his name, but then now with Newcastle, saving them originally when he came in, and also after this takeover, produces some of the most high quality, entertaining style of football, playing in the counter, being solid at the back. It's a great blueprint, and It's a great proven that's worked in the Premier League for many years in the past, and it's continued today with Newcastle. And as such, he's in the 10th spot for me. In the 9th position, I'm going to go with the new Chelsea manager, Mauricio Pochettino. Obviously a really attacking, expressive type manager that's always on the front foot. A big signing for Chelsea. He's able to handle some big attitudes and some big names, as you saw he tried to do at PSG. Obviously, he's won 3 trophies in his time, the Ligue 1, the French Super Cup, and also the French Cup as well in that time at PSG there. Obviously, all didn't go to plan as some big attitudes got the best of him, but he's been in these big dressing rooms before. He knows how to manage these big names, and he can just tell by his time at Tottenham, taking him to a Champions League final and all the success that he had at Tottenham with a club that I guess he propelled. He put his footprint on that football club, and the way that he made them play, that attacking brand and style of football where Son and Kane and the like were just looking remarkable, with Christian Eriksen down there deep and creating. He always makes the most of his team. I think he will make the most of his really, really high quality Chelsea team. His attacking brand of football is just something to be marvelled at, and as such, I think it's a slam dunk, nice position. And if all goes well this year, he should be really higher up the list. I've got a bit of a different one at position 8. It's going to be Steve Cooper. I loved what he did with Forest in the Championship, getting them up. Really impressive style of football to get them back up. And then what he did last year with almost a shambles of a transfer market where they bought 30-odd players to get all those players playing some decent quality football come the end of the season and all gelled and working for each other is a marvel in itself. You look to his Championship style of play where it was a bit of possession work, it was a bit of move the ball quickly, it was high-paced type action. The likes of Taiwo 1 year this year and Brendan Johnson show that if you have that sort of high-pace, high sort of quality of game, you can suit the Steve Cooper type formula. Just love the way he's worked with Nottingham Forest, and he's dealt with some adversity so far, and he's come out, I guess, victorious in this fashion. And as such, for me, he just has to be in the 8th position. He's just a really smart manager. He may not appear as some of the Europeans' finest, but he goes about his job really quietly and does it really, really well. And to keep Forest up last year, we said on the way there, it's many points of time. That must be the biggest goal for them, because now we really feel they can kick on. They've sort of gelled together now. I think that Chelsea that failed to do last year, but Forest were able to keep themselves up, gelled some big names together, and hopefully propelled themselves on this season with behind Steve Cooper that gets mastermind and tactic work. So as such, I've got him in position 8. In the 7th spot for me has to be Unai Emery. What a job he did last year with Aston Villa, from relegation candidates under Gerrard to Europa Conference League team this year, just because of the great work Unai Emery did. They were, I think, the top 4 team after he took over. They were clinical up front. He got Ollie Watkins scoring goals, which had seemed almost impossible at some points last season, but he got that team playing some high quality football, and it just goes to show that the mastermind that is Unai Emery. Obviously won the Ligue 1 with PSG. He's a 4-time Europa League winner with Villarreal, and then 3 with Sevilla there also. He's won the French Cup 2 times, the French League Cup twice, and the French Super Cup also 2 more times. I think a really underrated manager, the way he goes about it. He's gotten the best out of some really sort of average type teams, and he goes to show again with Aston Villa, and they're getting the backing, it seems. They're putting some money for Pau Torres if they get another midfielder. And this is a serious Premier League threat next year for a Champions League spot, maybe a Europa League spot. Obviously, being in the Conference League, they can push for another European trophy there as well at Villa Park. But the way he goes about his football is masterful. That midfield domination they have there with Ramsey, Douglas, Luiz, and John McGinn at times as well. It just orchestrates so well on that. And the really high possession, not tiki-taka in a way, but sort of high passing, high possession type gameplay that Unai Emery installs. And it's there for all to see, because he turned around a really average Aston Villa team and made them into a true European contender, and I guess a European threat next year as well for the Premier League, if all things go well. I think his time at Arsenal was unfortunate. The players didn't quite line up. I think the transfer strategy there wasn't quite lining up with what he wanted. But now being able to prove himself with Villarreal and now with Aston Villa, he's got to go up there, one of the best managers in the league. And as such, for me, he's got to sit in P7. Now we've officially got to the top 6, and I consider these guys, I guess, the big boys, the giants of Premier League managers. These are the really, really high quality managers and some great names in there. I'm starting the 6th spot with Erik Ten Hag. A strong season, first year at Manchester United. FA Cup finalists, Carabao Cup winners, top 3. Went deep in the Europa League as well with a team that was very thin on quality and depth. His play style hasn't quite shifted totally over to Manchester United at the moment. There isn't that playing out from the back. There isn't as much of the inverted fullbacks as I guess he probably would have hoped, but it's a natural progression, right? I think the best thing I can say for Erik Ten Hag is he's dealt with the pressure of Manchester United. He's dealt with the Ronaldo situation. He's dealt with a lot of a changing that was, I guess, not really united. He's made them a united group. He's set in some rules, set in some standards, and it looks like the players are nailing to that. And the resurrection of Marcus Rashford's career, I think, is all to go to Erik Ten Hag and the likes of Luke Shaw, who were all sort of falling to the wayside a bit under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and also the Philly manager as well last year. And it just seems like what he's done is he just changed the club for the better, and I think the fans are all behind Erik Ten Hag at the moment. If he gets some more signs which help him, which can boost him up there, it could be another Champions League push, it could be another cups for Manchester United as well. But his tactical genius in the possession type of play and a real midfield domination type we saw last year with Manchester United can go strength to strength in this year as well. I think as such he's in the top 6 for me just because of the work he did with Ajax, and now with Manchester United it can't go underrated. A really impressive manager. Now in my 5th spot I've gone with the Brentford manager Thomas Frank. This man I have all respect for. Their style of football I guess exceeds their reputation. They're remarked as a smaller club, but the way they play football could be up there with some of the Catalans and the European giants of the world. They play really smart, high possession football. They pass around teams. When they need to sit in, they'll hit teams in the counter attack. They've got a lethal striker up there in Ivan Toney. They're getting the best out of the Norgards of the world, and these sort of lesser names, Eureka Henrys of the world as well, and Bamos. He does the best and gets the best out of these sort of players. He has a small budget, but he always works super hard and gets his players all working together. It's a system, it is a tight-knit unit, and it's all down to Thomas Frank's hard work. And 2 years now in the Premier League, 2 years mid-table or top half, and I love that. He's got his team all playing the right type of football. It's the most entertaining football at times to watch, and I love watching Brentford play just because of the way Thomas Frank has made them set up. It is a unified team. It is a well-structured team. They defend deep when they need to, and they're so expressive when they have the ball in possession. And as such, for me, he's my 5th highest rated manager of the Premier League. Now in the 4th position, I have Mikel Arteta, obviously an FA Cup winner with Arsenal, but the way he took Arsenal from the lows of lows, I think they really bottomed out under Mikel Arteta, and he turned it around. There's a lot of pressure early on in the early stages to get things right. He's once again, similar to Erik Ten Hag, is put in a foundation which the standard is set right, and you saw last year it was a standard set so high that they pushed on and pushed Man City basically all the way for the Premier League title, something that only Liverpool have had to do a few years in the past year. But I just love the way he goes about it. He plays a Man City style of play, obviously learning under Pep, one of those sort of Pep disciples, I guess, again. The inverted fullbacks, the high possession type gameplay, wingers like Saka and Martinelli are in the goals, they're high and wide, they attack the box. And you've got likes of Gabriel Jesus coming across to Manchester City. He had a great start last season. Zinchenko's leadership as well. But he had to make some hard calls. Aubameyang, Lacazette, moving away to these sort of guys, revitalising Granit Xhaka, who was up there for player of the season at the midway team of the season, at the midway point of last season. He's got the best of some of these players. He plays an awesome brand of football. Arsenal fans absolutely adore the way they go about it these days, and it's because of the hard work Mikel Arteta has done to build that sort of really fluid but structured at the same time style of football where they're high in possession, they dominate teams, they boss teams around. It's a shame they couldn't go even further last year with the Premier League, but I think this sounds like from the signing of Havertz, and Jurgen Timber looks like he's coming across along with Declan Rice. They're really pushing on to try and they've set the foundation now. They're building this team up like City did, and they're going to get another punch at Manchester City this summer and this season coming up. And as such, I love Mikel Arteta and the work he's done, and he sits in the 4th highest rated manager for me. The top 3 now. We've come to the top 3. I'm very excited for these ones here. Some really super big names there. Klopp. You've got Pep Guardiola and also Roberto De Zerbi, who is my 3rd highest rated manager in the Premier League. And since he took over from Brighton last year, they were great under Potter, but they've gone strength to strength under De Zerbi. They're solid with the ball, they're great in possession, they're one of the higher possession teams, they pass around teams, they control the game. Like some Moyes, Caicedo, McAllister, Mitoma, Ferguson, Even Danny Welbeck, they got the best out of him as well. Estupiñán at left back, Levi Colwill at centre back. And the play and the type of style they go about it. Obviously did a great job with Sassuolo in his time there, Roberto De Zerbi, but I guess not really known when he came to the Premier League, but he's made a name for himself with Brighton, and they've got Europa League football next season. I'll be very excited to see the way they go about it and the way they just keep developing talent. It is remarkable. They just keep finding these sort of gems in the dust there. Looking at Enciso, his end of the season was remarkable, and I guess Roberto De Zerbi's style of football suits these players to be expressive, to be in the front foot. They control the ball so well. Like Brentford, one of the most exciting teams to watch when they're in possession because they're so expressive and so much on the front foot. And as such, I just love the way he goes about it. Unlucky not to make an FA Cup final because they really dominated Manchester United there in the semi-final and probably would have gave Manchester City a better game there. But one of the best managers in the league for a reason, and if he gets support in the future and keeps working with his Brighton and Hove Albion team, they could be a serious threat in the future for the Premier League. But doing what he's done with that sort of, I guess, financial backing and the position he was left in, it's all props to Roberto De Zerbi, a younger manager, only 44 years old, so a lot of future ahead of him, and I'll be very excited to see where he takes his Brighton and Hove Albion team. Now left with the two big-time managers, Jürgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. And for me, it's Jürgen Klopp, who's the second best manager in the Premier League. Obviously, a superb manager. His time at Dortmund was so impressive. Taking them to a Champions League final there as well with that Marco Reus and Robert Lewandowski team. He got 2 German championships in 2011-12 and 2010-11. But his work at Liverpool is outstanding, coming across a team that really, really was struggling under the likes of Brendan Rodgers at that time, and he took over a team and he built it with the likes of Mane, Salah. He got these players that were not, I guess, household names at the time, but developed them into superb players. They've won the Champions League in 2019, the Club World Cup in 2020, the Premier League in 2020. They've basically won every trophy there is to win at the moment. You look at the FA Cup title as well. He's won some German Cups and German Super Cups. He's won the League Cup as well last year. So despite last season not being as successful as I guess Liverpool fans would have wanted, Jürgen Klopp always has something in planned, and he's got the best of some superb players along the way. The way Liverpool play their football is remarkable. It's not the Pep Guardiola sort of inverted fullbacks or the like, but he plays a high possession game. He has those fullbacks bombing forward, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson there as well, and the likes of Roberto Firmino, Salah and Mane, who the most iconic front three I guess we've had in recent times in the Premier League that just kept banging in goals for him. Obviously a new generation now like the likes of Darwin Núñez, Diogo Jota, Cody Gakpo. Hopefully Salah still stays around to help mentor these sort of players, but the Mane and Firmino have left the club, but I'm sure Klopp got the best of these players. He always seems to do. His teams are beautiful to watch. They smacked around Manchester United 7-0 last year. I used to that consistency just fallen off a little bit, but when you're, I guess, managing against arguably the best manager of all time and Pep Guardiola, to take some of these big trophies away from him is a massive feat in itself, and they're not quite the juggernaut that Manchester City are, but they've pushed them most years over the last 5 or 6 years. That's all credit to Jürgen Klopp, and as such that leaves Pep Guardiola as the number 1 manager in the Premier League. No surprises there. The treble won with Manchester City last year, the treble with Barcelona in the past. He's a superb manager. He's just so inventive. He always invents something new, a new way to play football, and you can see that, and his players always adapt so well. He must be a cutthroat manager because these players are always on side and always work hard for him and to make his systems work, and they're always a bit mind-boggling at times. I like the John Stones going to the midfield, or Ake playing left back, Akanji playing left back. He was always a think of the game, and you can see it's really hard to keep up with him because the spending's so great at Manchester City, but also the man behind the spending, Pep Guardiola, knows what each player needs to be doing. He adjusts and adapts players in really well, and I just think you look at Grealish, one of the best wingers last season in the Premier League. The year before, he really, really struggled at Manchester City, and I think it's because Pep Guardiola's mentorship, and he's slowly, bleeding him into the starting lineup and the way he could play and express himself. He's got Grealish defending now as well, so all props to Pep Guardiola. His resume, I guess, speaks for itself. I don't need to list off anything that Pep Guardiola's done, but his style of football, it cannot be adapted to teams. Teams are trying, Arteta's trying, Erik Ten Hag tries, and to a lesser extent, Roberto De Zerbi tries as well, but he is the creator, he's the master of it at the moment, and right now he's bossing the Premier League, and as such, for me, he's the number 1 manager in the Premier League. As such, that brings us to the end of this another ranking video in the Premier League. This time doing managers. I've enjoyed doing these videos. Obviously, whilst we're in the transfer market and there's not much news and I guess much on-pitch action, it's really fun to get these videos done. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, a like would be much appreciated. Sharing with some mates, sharing online as well would help the channel grow and get this out to more types of people. And I'll see you guys for a new video very, very soon.